Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree. Don't question my intensity, bravery. Similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Einstein with my energy.
Welcome to the Scribble Notes Podcast. How are you living, man? It's been a minute since I talked to you.
I know. I'm, dry January, but it's all right. I'm going on vacay in like 3 days, maybe. So I'm so excited. I know. I'm going to Florida.
That's fun.
I know. Yeah. So other than that, everything's really good, honestly. I was working at Big Sky for a while because I also work at a restaurant, but I was working at Big Sky, but I quit today. Because I got my own, I'm trying to build my brand. So I'm like, I need to focus my energy into this. You know?
That's dope.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners before we get too deep?
Okay, yeah. Well, my name's Alissa Anglis. I have a blog and a podcast called Dear Alissa. That's kind of my little startup brand, I guess. I went to school. Do I have to say what I went to school for?
Nah, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, unrelated. Totally unrelated. Literally not at all. But yeah, that's what I do. I write podcasts, kind of the same thing as you, I guess. Except you have books.
That's just the side thing.
Yeah, just a side thing, just writing novels. No big deal.
Yeah, this is not about me. So what got you into podcasting? What got you into blogging? Like, I'm so interested in your beginnings.
Honestly speaking, it's actually kind of a crazy story. I literally have always been a really creative, I like doing new things and stuff. And I never would have thought that this would happen to me. I would have never thought that I'd start a blog or anything like that. And it all started when I was writing during COVID, in my free time when I got COVID, and I was like, okay, I need to, I literally got COVID the first month that it started. So I was writing.
Early adopter to COVID.
Yeah, I know. I was so blessed. And so then I just was writing just for fun. And I showed it to a couple people and they were like, damn, Alissa, you're really good. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. And so then I went through a breakup and I was like, you know what? Am I allowed to swear?
Of course.
Okay, I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna put this shit out there. I'm gonna put it out there. So then I created the website, and literally this is why I kept going, was literally the day that I dropped it. So the day that I dropped it, I got 1,000 views on the website, which was nuts. I was like, ain't no way that 1,000 people are reading my shit right now. There's no way. It was amazing. So
that's
all right,
crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. I couldn't believe it. So I was like, you know what? I gotta keep doing this. So I started releasing posts here and there. It was a weekly thing for writing, but then I got a couple people being like, all right, let's my life is so busy. I want to keep up on your shit and I want to keep up on your mindset, but you got to do something that's easy for us. And I was like, okay,
easy to consume.
Say less. So then I bought a mic. I researched how to make a podcast, and I just started. And then that's honestly been more popular than the blog, which sucks because nobody really likes to read anymore.
Yeah, see, reading is a misunderstood passion, man.
Agreed.
For real. But your podcast is awesome. I was tuning into some episodes. I like how organic and real, because I don't know if people who listen to your podcast know you personally, but if you do know Alissa, it is very much still Alissa, just podcast version.
Yes, that's honestly what I try to go for. I get the main thing that I get people say, and it's my favorite compliment ever. You can hate the content that I'm saying, it's totally fine, but they'll always be like, Alissa, it feels like I'm hanging out with you when you talk to me. It feels like you're talking to me. And that's what I'm trying to do, because I don't edit it. I literally just record it, schedule it, send it. That's it. And so that's why, and that's what I really like about it, because number one, it's not I'm fucking sitting there for hours editing and, oh, I can't say this, I can't say that. I'm just blah 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 word vomit and post it, and then people fucks with it, so it's nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, all right, this is just who I am. This is what I'm posting. You either like it or you don't, and I'm gonna keep doing me.
Exactly. Like, honestly speaking, like, I literally just do it for therapy. I don't know if it's the same thing for you. I'm sure it is. Like, you know, writing, like how it's like a release. Like, it's just a release. And it's like the same thing with the podcast, because it's like, I live alone, so I'm like constantly talking to myself like a crazy lady. So it's like, all right, let me pretend like I'm talking to other people now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So it's just like, I literally just do it for like a release, just to like get the stuff out of my head. Like, I'll like be frustrated with like a situation or a person or whatever, and I just talk about it. And like, the best part about it is like, even if you have like 5 listeners, like, I'm sure you know, like, you definitely know, because you're popping off. But like, when people come up to you like after and they listen to it, they're like, yo, like, that is literally what I'm going through, like, or that is literally like what happened to me a while ago or something, you know what I mean? And they relate to it, and you're like, damn, I'm not crazy, like, it's not just me.
Yeah, I'm not the only person living this.
Exactly. So, and that's what I like about it. It's really cool. And plus, like, it's interesting because for me, like, I'm not the type to like, I like listening to like motivational podcasts and stuff, but I like stuff that's like upbeat and like, you know, like about society and sex and relationships, like all the bullshit that everyone like actually likes talking about, but nobody actually talks about. They don't want to admit that they like talking about it.
It's the stuff people are mad interested in. But you know, people, it's so taboo to like speak on it sometimes.
No, literally. And it's like, so like when I started over at Big Sky, I was like, I told them, I was like, yeah, I have a podcast. And they're like, what's it about? And I was like, sex. And literally, like, I just like, sex. And everybody's like, oh, it's like something that I can't say. Like, why can't I say it? Like, you know damn well that you go home and you fuck your wife. Like, you know, we don't have to hide it. Like, don't hide it. No, you do.
Of course. And it was so interesting. So sorry to interrupt, but it's so interesting to hear your conversations or just hear your mindset about relationships, because I feel like there's so many things that you talked about. I think your latest one, as of recording, was the one I was really tuned into, and it was about the do's and don'ts.
Yes.
And I thought it was so funny because you were like, at one point, you go like, there's so many don'ts that the list of do's is so short. Like, just don't do any of the don'ts. And in my mind, I was like, yo, people are out here doing all of these things consistently. And it was just hilarious. Like the you up. People still text you up. Like, that's a real thing.
No. All right, listen, story about this one. Story about that. Literally, like, this dude has been a supporter for my blog and my podcast since day one. Literally day one. I went to Essential with him. And like, he has never sent me anything like that. Like, he was always like complimenting, like, my mindset, all the stuff that I was saying was the do's. So I was thrown. It was like 3 a.m. I have never hung out with this dude, ever, never. He was like in one of my classes, I think. And he texted me that, and I go, are we 13? Are we 13 years old? Like, are you kidding me? Like, it just blows my mind, honestly. And like, going out and stuff, like, we've gone out a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, going out and like meeting these motherfuckers, you're not anything like them. You're a loyal man. You're a loyal man. But like, going out and meeting these dudes, I'm like, wow, like, there's a lot more don'ts and red flags out there than dudes and green flags, let me tell you. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It blows my mind, genuinely.
Yeah,
like,
it's insane. It's insane.
I know. You've seen it. Like, these dudes, you just look at them and you're like, is this real life? And girls fall for it. Like, that's the crazy part that I like, you're saying you up to me and you think it's gonna work? Does that work normally?
Yeah, what's the percentage of times that actually works out?
I know, but it's like, so there are girls out there, like, that's part of the reason why I'm like, all right, I need to talk about this stuff, because there are girls out there who think it's acceptable to get a you up text, and then you respond to it. Ooh. And then you go, oh my god, it just it's overwhelming to think about. Like, it's so bad.
What's their response been like from your listeners? Like, How do people, what do you hear as far as feedback from your content?
Honestly, I've been getting a lot of positive feedback. I've gotten a couple like negative feedback, like from the older crowd. Like some guy, he was like, maybe, I don't even know how old he was, like 40 something. And he was like, you need to stop swearing so much. And I'm like, all right, like I get it. But the majority of the people that like get back to me on it are like, this is relatable. Like and I get a lot of like suggestions, which I'm so grateful for, because like I have my life, but like there's some things that are in your life that you don't even realize are happening to you until somebody's like, hey, can you like talk about this? And you're like, wow, damn, like, yeah, that sure. Cause like you can relate to it. So like a lot of people just like, they say they can relate to it. I've had a couple girls like earlier this like January or like this beginning of this month, they were like telling me that they needed that, like they needed to listen to my podcast because they're going through something and all that stuff. So like, it's just so refreshing to like know that people are actually listening. Like I said, even if you have like 2 people that listen, it doesn't matter. Like as long as I got people who like, it's like clicking in their head, that's all that matters. Cause like for me, when I was going through my shit, like I didn't have anything to make anything click. And I put myself through bullshit for so long because nothing was clicking. So if like I can be a voice of reason to somebody for it to click so they don't have to go through the same stuff that I went through, then like check, job done. You know?
Yeah, that's like the most awesome piece. It's like you have the opportunity to connect with people who sometimes you don't even know. Sometimes you really have no real relationship with, but they're listening to your voice, they listen to your mindset. And I think it really does kind of inspire folks like, maybe I should make this change, or maybe this isn't okay. It's like challenging some of those things that people traditionally think are cool in relationships. I think that was awesome.
Exactly. Well, thank you. I know that's the main goal. Like I try to keep it like light, but like on my Instagram, like you've seen my Instagram, you've responded to some of the stuff. Like I'll try to put like topics and questions on there where it's like social media. Like people never want to talk about it in relationships, but like y'all gotta talk about it. Like maybe it's not important, but there has to be a conversation.
Yeah, you can't go through your whole relationship and not talk about social media. It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Exactly. And it's like for me, like I said, in my past, like that was something that I didn't want to talk about because there are some people who make it seem like, oh no, like that's nothing. But for me, it's like, yeah, no, but it is something. So it's like, if I want to like tell somebody, if like I want to make it known to other people, like if you're feeling bothered by something, like you don't have to shut the fuck up. You can say something.
Yeah.
And like same thing about sex, same thing about all that stuff. Like you can say something. You don't have to keep yourself quiet. Like you could say something.
Yeah, it's like it's so cool. Like I think being able to have a platform, be so open about things, I think it makes a huge difference because there is a lot of filtering that goes on in society in general. And I think even more so on platforms, like people are so worried about how they're viewed versus just doing what they do. I like heard somebody talk about how like people spend more time being worried than they do actually dealing with any real consequence. Like we're just worrying about like how people would feel if we did something. You do it and no one even cares. Then you're like, yo,
no.
It's like, why was I so worried?
Nobody is that concerned. Like I always like a good example of that is like people who go to the gym and they're like, I don't want to go to the gym because everybody's watching me. Like nobody's watching you. I promise. Unless it's a creepy old man who wants to get in your pants or a creepy old lady who wants to take you out, like nobody's watching you. Like do what you want to do. Do what you got to do.
For real. I've had this conversation with so many people. It's like, especially I think the gym thing is very relevant right now. In CT especially, just this idea of like women's only space and all that. I've been very much like, hey, I understand the nuances though that come with any type of separation based off of any protected class, which is the piece that I feel like just is kind of completely pushed aside right now, which I'm cool. Like I'm cool with people. I understand that there's differences in experience, but I'm like, protected classes matter a lot. And when you start doing the only space, which is fine that it exists.
Yeah, no, you're right.
it's protective, but and that was the crux. Today I was like dealing with, for some reason I had this like battle in my heart because I was like, yo, I want people to feel safe. I got a daughter. Like I want people to feel like they could go to the gym and work out. But at the same time, I don't ever want to see like this is a Christians only X. This is a Black only X. This is like all these other things. And I'm like,
that's true as fuck. I never even thought of that.
It just becomes like, it becomes the, where does it stop?
Yeah.
And even in like the context of a gym, like if you think about, well, we'll allow it in a gym, right? We allow this behavior, this separation, this discrimination of sorts or whatever in the gym setting. Then what happens if they say like there's a whites only section of the gym? And then the conversation goes from, okay, now it's not women, it's whites, it's race. And then you say like, well, that's not okay. So then what other discriminations do we try before? Because you know, people in the world are like fucked up. They're gonna do it. Like someone's gonna do it.
People always take it way too far.
They do. Like that's the reason why we're in a situation to begin with, because people take things too far.
Literally.
But that's like that was just like the crux of my mindset. I was like, yo, how do you, and for me it was really interesting to try to have that conversation, because I was like, I care a lot, but I disagree on the fundamental side of things. And it's interesting because I found myself even today like, oh, I'm not going to post anything about it. I ain't going to say nothing. I'm going to leave my opinion to me. But at the same time, that doesn't help the narrative or conversation, because I know I'm making solid points. Like I know I have a solid mindset.
Yes. That's so funny because this is the second time that this has come up in the past couple weeks. And it's never come up in the past before. And I never even put thought into it. And someone literally asked me, like, I was just having a conversation with somebody and they're like, where's the men's only section? And I was like, you're right, actually. Like, you're right. And it's like, from there, it's like, that's the thing. That's the problem that I have with all this. Like, even with just like everything, like feminism in general. Like, honestly, I talked to my sister. She's like, Alissa, you're a feminist. I was like, I guess I am, because I just love like keeping women, like empowering women. But at the same time, it's like, it's not like I don't support that kind of thing. Like, girl, like you're sitting here making yourself a sexual being by separating yourself, making it be like, okay, I can't work out right here. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like all mindset where it's like walking there with confidence, like, know you got your shit, know that you can hold your own, and then do it. Like I can't be in that space. And that's an interesting point. Like, even that you're making, I didn't even think about that, but it is taking away, like almost taking away your ability to actually be in the public space. Like, I can't be there. And then living off that mindset. I read someone's comment today. Someone that said like, my daughter and I, we go to the gym and I don't know, and we work out in the women's only space. And I don't know if we're going to be comfortable to go back now. And I was like, dang, that sucks. But at the same time, you placed that on you. Like, there's other people who are not placing that on them. So it's gotta be at some point, some push pull here. Exactly. Like, that's where it makes like everybody like the girls are like, I want to be equal with the men. But then you're sitting there and you're working out at the balcony at the edge. You're working out on the balcony, looking at everybody else lifting weights at the weight center. That's not equal. Like, come on. Like, get your ass down there. You know you could curl more than him. Go down there, sit your little booty down right next to him and curl. Like, I know. That's so crazy that you bring that up, because I have never had this conversation before. And then one person brought it up to me. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's news now. It's newsworthy.
True, though. No, you're right. And it's nice. I like the point that you make where it's like you have a daughter. So it's like you get it. And you're also a respectable man. But like you've also been in situations around people, like when you go out or whatever, where you see men that aren't respectful. So you have all the perspectives to be able to like form an educated opinion on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting, thank you first off, but it is interesting as I kind of toy around with the idea in my head and like kind of wrestle with it, because one, I feel like people, this is gonna be a side comment. I just feel like a lot of people see the world one way and then they create everything about their life based off of the one way they see things, and they refuse to listen to anything else. That's just a side comment about society right now, one of the issues. But I do think that I think like there's so much to making a decision that's that big, and the ramifications have to be included. And I think that that's kind of what, I don't know, I feel like that's what the court took in mind to say, oh, this is fine, then creates more potential issues down the line. And then how do you say that something else isn't? Because then you're basically discriminating based off of who you think deserves what right to what space. And then and I heard someone say, like, someone literally said, like, what if the equipment was all the same in both spaces, so then no one feels like they're missing out? I was like, that is separate but equal. That's literally separate but equal. And you're pitching this right now. And I understand why, but you're pitching separate but equal just because you want to make sure the gym can have one space for women only.
That's so crazy. That's literally so crazy. My sister was talking to me about like going to work out in the women's only section, and I told her, I was like, "What? There's literally no point in paying extra money for what?" Because honestly, like, I'll be real, like, guys are annoying, but they're annoying everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're in the gym or if you're at the grocery store, they're gonna be annoying. So why are you going to separate yourself when you're going to go to Stop and Shop and you're going to find men and they're going to be equally as annoying? Like, you got to deal with them at some point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not you, but you know what I mean.
No, I understand. Guys in this manner, for anyone listening, guys is going to be referring to those people who suck. Like,
yes, exactly.
That's what we're going to refer to as far as guys.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, those are the guys.
That's what they are. Not all of them.
Yeah, definitely not. So,
is that like a topic?
What'd you say?
Is that like an actual topic that's like relevant right now?
Yeah, it's super relevant. The court in Connecticut just passed. They basically just passed legislation saying, or they didn't pass legislation. They made a decision determining that it's discrimination when you have a women's only section in a gym.
Wait, they made that decision.
Yeah, they made a decision like yesterday. January 25th is when I'm listening later. But yeah, it's like a real thing. So a lot of people are very either upset or in defense, but I feel like the people in defense are making terrible points. Like their points are literally the points that I would like. Are we going back in time? The point some of these dudes are making are like just the most surface level point you could make. They're like, women should. Why do women get one spot and we don't? It's like, dude, I get it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's not the point.
That's such an irrelevant point.
I know. That's not the point. Oh my God.
So to change gears a little bit, what's been the most successful episode or topic you talked about on your podcast?
Actually, okay, so there's two. The most recent one that I had was like really, really popular. And then another one that I had was These Boys Ain't Loyal.
Ooh, talk to me about it.
I think that's okay. I think that's because like everybody knew what was going on with me and like my ex, like all the bullshit because of my writing. But like that was the first time I had talked about it like actually on my podcast. And so I think that's why it was extra popular. And then the do's and don'ts was like, that one blew up. I don't know why. That one I literally did last minute in a storage closet, like a storage closet. I was surprised that one blew up. I was like, there's no way. But like, and then also obviously like my sex ones, those ones are popular because everybody likes talking about sex and everyone wants to hear about it. But you know what's crazy is like my male viewers are increasing. Which I'm actually happy about because I feel like the guys need to hear it just as much as the girls do. You know, like a perspective from somebody, because there's so many people, like there's so many girls that like just they don't speak their mind. And it's like if you want to have a successful relationship or even just like situationship, if you want to have a successful whatever interaction, like you have to communicate yourself. And you can't be scared to communicate yourself.
Yeah, I think all that's important because there's so much to one, seeing what's successful, right? Like as a content creator, you're looking at what are people listening to? What are people actually like interested in? I think the do's and don'ts was definitely interesting. Even when I saw it, I was like, that's an interesting topic. Like,
Okay,
I literally said, I'd love to know what Alissa thinks is a do and don't. Like,
yeah.
I'm a married man, but I'm still like, I'd love to know what this is going to be about, especially knowing like your style. I was like, this is going to be an interesting video or listen. Like, and it was. And I think that's part of the reason why, like, it's such a, I think one of the things when I was like, I'd say years ago now, like 6 or 7 years ago, I was looking into like men's help with relationships because there's tons of research, tons of books written about men's relationships and guides and help, but most guys aren't reading it. So it shows like it's interesting because men love to know about, oh, how do I get girls? But they're not reading about how to do it.
Yes.
So I started learning about all of these ways, all of these strategies, all of these really helpful tips. And a ton of it was being honest, being upfront, not sugarcoating things, like just telling them what it is and seeing if they like it or not. And like, if they're cool, then great. And if they don't, then move on. So much of it was move on from people who don't have the same value system or don't align with what you're trying to do. Don't rush into things. Like, take your time. Like, it's fine to take your time. It was so much of it was the things you said in the do's, and so much of the don'ts were things that the books would say don't do. And it was like a lot of these people are just doing the don'ts.
I know, and it's so sad. Like, it's just because I don't know. I feel like guys they have to take a couple of years to mature. Like, I met this one guy, he's in his 50s, and he cheated on his wife. And he got a divorce, like he's in the process of getting a divorce with her. And he told me that like he's not interested in getting back together with her, but like he cheated on his wife, 10 years ago? And now he's literally now trying to figure out why he cheated. And he was like, I bought a book that's like trying to figure out like why do people cheat? Because like it takes them time to mature, and unfortunately they lose people. Like they lose good people, they lose people that they love, but like it takes them time to be like, all right, like I need to work on this. Like this is something I have to work on.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and it's so real. And if you're not taking the time, right? If you're not taking the opportunity to even learn about relationships, but you want to have them, it's like anything else in life, right? Like if you want to learn to do something, like not like spend some time learning, like it's not all trial and error, especially with people, because I think the other piece that gets really lost. And I think when I was younger, I played football. I played on a bunch of teams. Like I know all the way guys act and behave. Yeah. It's almost as if it's like the throwaway culture, right? Like, I don't know about her no more. Yeah, we're done with her. Like I'm done with her, whatever. Like just tossing people aside as if they're just whatever. That's like the mindset that a lot of people grow up in. So they don't create this. They don't create a real relationship, a real care for people that they're around. And I think that's why it's always interesting when I go out, because I'll see people and I'm like, I know what they're thinking. Like, this is just whatever. And
I love that. The throwaway culture, that's amazing. That's literally exactly what it is. It's literally exactly what it is. They don't feel like they're real people, and they just don't understand. Like, it's like, luckily I like put in the work to have a good mindset, because if like somebody with like a weaker, maybe not as developed mindset had to go through something like really bad with like a relationship or whatever, like that shit can bring you down for a long time. And it's like the other person is like, like toss that shit in the dumpster. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen to it, but
yeah.
You know, I have never heard that before. Did you come up with that? You need to trademark that.
I should trademark it. I just came without on the spot, because that's what people do. Like people just throw away other people, and it's weird that it's super acceptable, especially from the male end. But I'd say like there's also this concept, right? I'm just gonna say, this is for anyone listening, right? If you're listening, just know this ain't my mindset anymore. I used to be this person. I ain't that person no more. But it was. And I joke around, right? I joke around with Caitlin, actually, because when I first met her, I was really privy to the fact that like females have multiple dudes that they can be interacting with in any type of fashion, right? And what we call it in football was they have a roster, right? They got a roster. They got the people that are on their team, and you either a starter or you're not. And you either play or you don't. Sometimes you're not playing for a while. That's fine, but you got to know your role. And that's it. Yeah, you're on the bench. And I remember I told her that one time. I was like joking around because I felt like she wasn't giving me enough attention, right? Because dudes, fragile, all that shit.
Yeah.
But I was like, you got a roster. She's like, no, I don't. I was like, yo, I'm pretty sure you do. Like, I am not the only dude who texts you. She's like, no, you really are. I'm the only person. You're the only person I talk back or whatever. I was like, but who else hits you up? Like, I'm not saying who you respond to, but who else is hitting you up? Because the difference is you can literally, if I do something wrong, this person texts you. Now all of a sudden you can just text them back, and they're gonna get all their attention, all this whatever. And like, dudes don't understand. Some dudes are just blind to the fact that they're not the only person. Like, you're not, until you lock down, you're not the only person.
Yep. No, and that's, I feel like, but it's the same with guys. So it's like, it goes both ways. Like, guys got their roster, girls got their roster. So it's like, if you really are about somebody, like, you better put like your 100% in, because if you don't, they will. Like, there's somebody sitting right there on the bench with the fucking headgear on, like, they're ready. They're ready. So, like, you better step your game up. Like, it's important to know that for sure. Like, you're not the only one, so make yourself known.
Yeah, like, and I think you have some really interesting tips. You want to talk a little bit about how to, like, stick out? Because a lot of your dudes in that video was really, like, I was like, spot on. Like, yes, if you're going to talk to a female, please just take some of this advice.
Yeah, so like you said before, there was not very many dudes because I haven't experienced them. But like, one thing, like, some guy complimented my mind. Like, me and this dude had never talked about like bodies or being attracted to each other. And he was like, your mind makes you so attractive. And like, that was the first compliment he had really ever said to me. And I was like, damn. Like, when you recognize somebody for like the person that they are, like, yeah, like, physical compliments are amazing. Everybody likes feeling good like that, you know what I mean? But to like make yourself stand out, like, you need to recognize like what somebody's doing, what their passions are, like, help them and support them. Like, even if you guys aren't like a thing, like, my friends will do that, you know what I mean? Like, my friends support the brand that I'm trying to build and all that stuff, where it's like, you have to recognize like what somebody's actually doing to progress their lives. Because like, the physical changes, like, I hate saying that because it's so basic. It's basic and like everyone says it, but it's like, eventually your girl's gonna have babies, and eventually your man's gonna have a couple too many 6-packs of beer. So it's like, y'all are gonna change. Yeah, exactly. Like, y'all are gonna change. So it's like, you have to be attracted here first. Like, that has to be like number one, where you guys have to be able to connect like that and vibe like that.
Yeah.
And like, not a lot of people do that, which is so sad.
I think so. I think it is. I think it is sad because so much of the connection you make with somebody has to be mental, right? Like, ultimately, and this is really like how I kind of think about relationships. So much of it in the beginning can be physical, but that quickly gets old. Like, the physical connections is important and it maintains itself, but that can't be the only thing, because we'll be physically attracted to all types of people throughout our lives. However, that mental connection, that emotional connection you create with somebody, the trust you can kind of build, a lot of that can't be changed. Like, who do you call for? Like, who are you waiting for? Who are you interested in really talking to? Like, who makes you want to hang out? I think when you get to, like, there's points in relationships where it's like, oh, I want to, like, if I'm going out to eat with anybody, it's about to be you. Like, almost like the expectation is, oh, it's you. It's not going to be some other whatever. And it's because you're just such a big part of that person's life. And I think the more serious people take relationships, the more serious they take these interactions, I think the better off they are long term.
And I really do think, like you said, like, the physical is important. Like, you should care about how you look. You should like want to impress. Like, when like in a relationship, I love like getting dressed up and like whatever. Don't lose touch of that. Like, physical is important, sex is important, like, for all that. But like, you can go and have sex with somebody else and be attracted to somebody else at the club, but that's not going to be the person where if you're like in a wheelchair, they're going to sit and carry your ass to the bathroom. Like you got to find somebody who's going to like care enough about you to like be here, but also be here. You know what I mean? You gotta be in both places.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that. So let's talk a little bit more about branding. Changing gears one more time. So you're creating your brand. You're building this up from scratch, basically.
Yes.
I've really enjoyed a lot of the content because you come up with a ton of content like daily. How do you come up with your content? How do you build this brand?
Well, honestly, like I'm starting to like research it a little bit more. At first I was kind of just like, I'll just put like random shit out there. Like just things that I see, I'm like, yep, I like that. And I put it out there, or like I'll write about it. But now I'm trying to be a little bit more strategic with it. Like I have a lot of plans. My 1-year anniversary is coming up April 1st of me starting Dear Alissa. So like I have big plans to kick off for like celebration wise and leveling up and all that stuff. So I'm really excited. And like honestly, what I try to think of is like things that push me every day, that make me feel good about myself, like make me feel good here. Like honestly, like routines and stuff like that I've developed with myself, like affirmations and all that stuff to like kind of just push myself into like a better path. Like I'm just trying to put that out there so that way other people could see it too. Because it's just like people just neglect their self-love so much. And like for me, talking and the podcast and the blog is like my self-love. And like it makes me feel good about myself. So I'm trying to make sure that people can like find that for themselves, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Like honestly, because when I think about branding, right, it's such an extension of you. And in the beginning, it's like, okay, which pieces of me am I going to share? How is this going to all work? How is this going to relate to someone else? And then you get to a point where, especially if you're branding yourself, right? Like yourself as a business, yourself as a person, you start to really connect on a more personal level with so many other things. Like I've shared pictures of me and my family, right? I don't do it all the time, but I do it, right? Because it's part of the brand. I'll put up pictures or whatever of me at the gym. I'll say like, oh, I'm writing or working on this. A lot of my stuff is motivational, right? Like I want people to feel like, yo, I could be inspired. Like I'm not going to get any negative energy from Jahmil. I'm going to get something positive, whether it's me sharing a podcast episode or a clip or whatever, because I think branding is so important. I think that's it's a lost art in today's social media world where most people are just out here doing them and posting whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No. And that you made a really good point where it's like where people could see and they could be like, oh, I got a positive vibe. Like I listened to a podcast and it said something about like how this guy would like unfollow people on social media because it's something that he didn't want to see. So it's like, I'm trying to put stuff out there. Like you're exactly what you just said, like vulnerable, show like all parts of myself so that people know that like there are real, like people struggle, but people also thrive at the same time, you know, like and put all that stuff out there. So like when people go through their followers and they're like, who should I unfollow because I don't like seeing their shit? I'm not one of them, you know? I mean, if I am, then that's fine. Like I get it. Not everybody's meant for the same mindset that I have, but it's like for the people who need it, like I want to be somebody where like, no, when I see her stuff, I feel inspired or I feel motivated or I feel like I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I love it. I follow the content because I think it's dope. I think even you just sharing pictures, right? Like you're like, this is me. This is like the real me, like not even some edited version or whatever. I think those are dope because I think a lot of people tend to be afraid of that, right? Tend to be afraid of exposing themselves because of criticism, because of all of these many things that we tell ourselves and that others tell us. Like people will put you down and that's just like how it goes. But I think you do a good job at just being like, yo, people try, but it ain't working.
Yeah, no, you can do what you want. Like I get unfollows, like people unfollow me all like every day, but people follow me every day too. So it's like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. I'm just putting out who I am, and that it is what it is. And like same thing with you. That's why like you're literally thriving. You're living an actual dream, literally.
I'm trying.
Like,
I've tried.
Author. That's a big deal.
It happened.
Like, that's amazing. Really amazing.
We're still writing out here.
I need to get you on my podcast.
Oh, of course. I would love that.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the end of our time. We've actually gone over our time. So I'm gracious about that. But it's all good. Where can people find the podcast? Where can they find the blog? Where can they connect with you online?
All right. So easiest way to get there is www.dearalissa.com. Everything's on there. There's a podcast link. The podcast is available on all platforms. So you can go on Spotify and Apple Pods, which are pretty much like the most used, I guess. And yeah, my Instagram also has a link to like everything on there. So Alissa Anglis, ALISSA, ANGLIS. I don't know if I have to say it out loud, but it is what it is. But dearalissa.com is definitely the easiest spot to get all the infos.
Hey, thank you. And before you go, what is a piece of advice you can give people out here struggling in their relationship? Let's say somebody already in one. What kind of advice can you give them?
I would say if there's a problem in the relationship, there's a problem in yourself. So whether it's self-love or whether you're maybe the cause of some of the problems, like if there's a problem in the relationship, the number one thing that you should work on is yourself and loving yourself, and everything comes clear from there. Like your passions, what's going wrong on the relationship, what you need to fix, and if you have to get the fuck out, like work on your self-love and everything falls into place from there.
Wow. We're gonna end on that note. Thank y'all for listening. This has been an episode of Scribble Notes. Peace out.
Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree, don't question my intensity. Bravery, similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Yeah, Einstein with my energy.